calling the meeting for March 28th Budget Board meeting to order. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Mr. Lee and Mr. Geezy is out. Mr. Lee is out of town, and Mr. Geezy is a little on the ill side, and he may tune in a little late, depending upon how he feels. So we need a motion here. So first of all, gentlemen, I move that we allow Mr. Lee, who's out of town, and Mr. Geezy, who is ill, to participate remotely in tonight's meeting. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, Mr. Lee, you're on, sir. All right. All right,
Oh.
so
He's on mute. Yeah.
I think you're on mute. You hear us well, right? Okay, we see your lips moving, but
I think he said start the meeting.
start the meeting, all right. You read pretty good. All right. We have the meeting here. We got you in 10-minute slots. So if you can, go ahead and give your presentation in less than 10 minutes so we can leave some time for question and answer. So sometimes people walk in and they got 15 minutes worth. So I would say get right to the point. All right, give us exactly what we need to hear. Okay, first up, Mrs. Savoy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You give me a step stool? You want me to go get my step stool? I am requesting additional money in several, actually more than several line items. The first item being other professional services. Stonewall Technology, which is the owner of our camera software, have sold and merged with Vision Government Solutions, and they have already said that they are not going to support our camera system. And if you're not familiar with our camera system, that is our software that does all the assessments for real estate. As far as raw land, does the sketching of the buildings, has all the class codes, all the rate codes in that system, and we use it daily. The other three items are basically increases in services. And the last item is, in the past, I have gotten the former reassessment firm to come back and help us pick up some new constructions as far as large houses, guest colleges, and commercial buildings. It was very economical for them because the assessor lived in the county and he could do it within a week and a half time. The new reassessment firm has given me a quote of $50 per permit for large houses, commercial buildings, and guest college, with approximately of 150 new construction permits. Any questions?
Any questions, gentlemen?
When does your camera software expire?
They say roughly 1 to 2 years,
Okay,
they're going to stop supporting it.
okay.
All right. And Mr. Lee, you have any questions?
No, the only question I had, have you looked into all the software suppliers already?
I have not. We use the camera because camera right now interfaces with Bright, and Bright is where we actually print our tax bills and our land book. So everything is done in camera. It interfaces with Bright, and the printing comes from Bright System. So I have not looked into other companies that may have a camera package, but it has to be right now be able to integrate with our Bright system in order to print the bills and the land book.
Okay.
Okay.
One other thing, just for your information, the assessed values on personal property, I have not downloaded my values yet, but other commissioners are telling me that the overall decrease is 10% to 20% this year over the January 1st, 2022 values. So,
Okay.
The initial budget showed a 10% decrease
Okay.
in those personal property values. I would also add that Mrs. Savoy has a capital improvement request for FY '25 for the replacement of that software that she was speaking of, the camera system software. So that's in the capital improvement budget for FY '25.
yeah. The additional $20,500 is for the service and maintenance, yearly maintenance on it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mrs. Jett?
Don, just so I'm clear on the professional services, that's, there's no option there that she has to have it.
Yeah, it's really no option.
Okay.
Mr. Palin, you want to kind of do this like we've done a couple times in the past and like on this particular line, we can go ahead and
Yeah,
adopt it or not?
okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, what you've done in the past is just get a consensus. You're not going to
Yeah.
take a vote because you're going to vote on the overall budget later, but if you could just give me a
Right.
consensus now of how you feel about.
Jennifer, y'all understand what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, all right. So for the past budget, Mrs. Savoy,
I'm okay.
you okay with that? You okay? All right, we okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. Ms. Jett?
Good evening. I'm going to start by introducing you all to my two new board members. The Electoral Board rotates on a 3-year basis, and this year it should have rotated and we got a new member, but it just so happened that Lee Pulling became ill last year. A new board member was appointed, and then he was moved. He had to move to a different locality due to work, so we got another new board member. So this is Jim Simons that is replacing Brandon Frazier, who replaced Lee. He's our secretary. And this is Jeremy Taylor, who's our new vice chair. So I thought you all should meet them. I also have with me tonight Selena Hayden, if you'll stand, Selena. Selena, I have hired to replace Kelsey, my deputy, who has now moved to Richmond and is working for the Richmond Registrar. So, a lot of changes downstairs.
Yes. Well, welcome aboard.
I don't really have anything, a speech or a spiel to give you. Don included in your packets, I believe, it was a PowerPoint we were considering doing, and then with the time constraints and everything, we said, no, we don't have time for all of that. But it does give you an overview of what this past year has been like and some of the increases in the steady incline of absentee voting and early voting and mailed voting, and of course, all those things cost money. So we, overall, I think the Electoral Board's budget, this is also two budgets we're talking about, mine and theirs, has quite a few increases just because of all of these added things. We're now looking at 3 elections going into the presidential year. But we'll be happy to answer questions. I'm sure you have some.
Any questions, gentlemen? I mean, we realize what you got to do. Okay. Mr. Lee, have any questions, comments?
No, I don't.
All right, well, thank you. All right, gentlemen, what's your feeling on this one?
We have to do it.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. We got
The
you.
election integrity is important in this environment.
All right.
You're not
okay.
kidding?
We got a
Thank you.
consensus here. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Susan.
Thank you so much.
Welcome,
Appreciate
gentlemen
your time.
and Selena.
Commonwealth Attorney, Mr. Spencer.
So everyone else is finished early, I used their 10 minutes? I'm just kidding.
The longer you talk, the less you get. That's how it works with this board.
I'm shy. I don't like to get up in front of people and talk.
10 minutes in lawyer terms is like 5
Lawyer
minutes.
time.
There you go.
Lawyer time, right. So when I ran for this job, I had a plan, a three-part plan for how I was going to reduce the crime rate here. The first was to identify the most dangerous individuals in the county and in the area and try and incapacitate them through incarceration. The second part of the plan was to try and, for people who are nonviolent but committing crimes, to try and get them the services they need so that they can make better decisions in the future. And then the third part was to try and identify at-risk youth and help to intervene before they grow up so that they can make good decisions when they grow up. I took office January 1 of 2020, and COVID happened, started in March. And that really it made it difficult to work on parts 2 and 3 of the plan because those are where the focus is on identifying, providing services for people who haven't committed crimes yet, and it was very difficult to work with trying to provide services. But we did press forward with part 1 of the plan, and I want to tell you, I think we've been very successful with that. And I keep track of this, and it's up to 18 now. If you were to have identified the 18 most dangerous people who were at large when I took office, they're all behind bars now. There are other facts that will show how well this has worked. The Virginia State Police keep statistics on crime. They have an annual report. They report Group A crimes per 100,000 of population. And since I took office, there's been a 28% reduction in the crime rate in the first 2 years. We haven't gotten statistics for 2022 yet. They'll come out, I think, in June, but I expect it's going to be even more of a reduction. One other way I can tell you how this has worked, between March and November of 2020, we were averaging 2 shootings a month. These are typically where people drive by a house, they're having a beef with someone and they shoot up their house. There was a lot of that going on. Knock on wood, we have not had a shooting of that nature in Lancaster since July of 2022.
I knew I've stopped getting phone calls and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it has really dropped, and that's because we've locked up the guys who were doing those shootings. So now what I want to do is now that we've opened back up as a society, is focus more on parts 2 and 3 of the plan to try and get services and try and reach at-risk youth. And I've been working on that. I've been working with the CSB. We're trying to set up something where people can see their doctors by computer remotely so they can get prescriptions without going to Gloucester for mental health, because a lot of what's driving crime here is mental health problems. We're also working to try and provide substance use recovery services here in the county. I met just last week with the Fix. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with them, but they have a recovery house, and they're opening a new one in Tappahannock where people who suffer from substance use disorders can go and stay for a year at no cost. It's all supported by donations, and they have a thrift store, et cetera. So we're working on that. But I also looked into a grant. It's called the Operation Ceasefire Grant, and I applied for it, and we got the grant. And the purpose of the grant was, I'll just describe. They have, you've seen these grant proposals where they ask for all sorts of information. And one of the things they wanted to know is what is going to be your community outreach, what is your grant purpose going to be, and what is the population to be served. And so, there's no way to sugarcoat any of this. When you're a prosecutor, you have to deal with the facts as they are. And so the fact that was the most important thing from my perspective is gun violence. And with one exception, all the gun violence in Lancaster County over the last 3 years has been African-American suspects shooting at or using firearms on African-American victims. And we can't pretend that's not true. And so when I put in this grant application, I put in here the population to be served, quote, "The project is intended primarily to serve our county's African-American community in the neighborhoods where the gang activity and guns are taking hold. The purposes to be served by the funds would be to continue and expand on the work we've engaged in to reduce felony violence and firearm offenses, to engage in efforts to bring mental health and substance abuse services to our county, to identify at-risk youth, engage in community outreach, particularly the county's African-American community." What we've done is we hired a new victim witness director, a young African-American woman named Emerald Keyser, who's already doing a great job. Now that I have the grant funding, and I'm hoping you guys will approve the budget I've submitted, I have extended an offer to a young man by the name of David L. Wyatt III. He is an African-American attorney in Richmond. His plans are to come work here part-time and eventually to move here and work here full-time. My understanding is, I've done the research on this, I believe he is the first African-American prosecutor anywhere in the Northern Neck. And we're very excited about him coming here and helping us reach out to the communities where gun violence has been a factor. What we did with the grant, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but what we did is we have taken the victim witness director's budget and the Commonwealth Attorney's budget. We've taken this new grant funding. We've taken some savings that we've made from somewhere else. We've moved things around so that we can hire this new prosecutor. I don't think we're asking for any additional money this year. I think all we're asking you to do is allow us to move, if you combine those two budgets, victim witness and Commonwealth's attorney. If you look at those two budgets combined, you're not going to see that we're asking for anything more. We're just asking to move things around so that we can hire this young attorney who I've met with. I'm very impressed with him. He came highly recommended to me by a number of folks, and I want to make sure that it's clear that my office, we are very mindful of our role as stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. And I think our record shows that. We have come in under budget my first 3 years in office because we are mindful of being stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. We hope to continue to come in under budget, and I'm asking you to approve the budget that we've submitted for the Victim Witness Office and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office so we can bring this young prosecutor here and I hope continue to reduce the crime rate. Thank you.
Okay.
Was that 5 minutes?
You did good. All right. So what you're saying is, as you're moving things around, basically you don't have level funding. It's just where you put it, except for, now, the part-time that you're bringing in, that's also included with the
That
level
isn't,
funding?
well, I put it in as a full-time, as a third full-time prosecutor is what I submitted in the budget. After I talked to people who were helping me to try and recruit the kind of person I was looking for, they said, you're not going to get the kind of person that you're looking for to move to Lancaster for that amount of money, who's going to be good. And they were helping me find someone that the type of prosecutor I was looking for. And they said, I found someone who meets every description you've got, but he's not going to come there and work full-time for that. So what we want to do is turn that into a part-time, use that money to pay him as part-time, pay his commuting expenses. And he's going to have an office in Richmond where he works part-time. But we're hoping to have him come work 30 hours a week. He's going to work 2 days a week in Lancaster and the rest of the time working remote. It'd still be the same amount of money, but we're going to turn that into a part-time position. We're going to use some of the money that we'll have from savings on the benefits, and because he's part-time, to fund, one of the ways we made this attractive to this young man was to tell him that we would pay his commuting expenses. So I think it's all going to work out the same, but I forgot about that. I submitted it as a full-time position, and what we're looking to do is convert that into a part-time position, but I think it's still going to be the same amount of money.
Okay. You understand?
Yeah, I do. I mean, and what Tony had said was, you know, previously, last year, he had just under 48,000 budgeted for part-time, and he had realized a savings of 15,000 when the previous victim witness coordinator retired, and he hired the new position. So between those two savings, he was going to be able to fund this new position except for some fringes. So the fact that you're going to do it part-time now and get rid of the fringes, I think helps. And so it's pretty much a wash the way I see it.
It is a wash, and we got the grant money
Yeah.
of 30, I think it's 32,000 a year that's going to be provided in grant funding.
Thank you for
I
that,
just
yeah.
appreciate you being proactive and doing some more preventative stuff and trying to prevent stuff from happening versus prosecuting crime after the fact, because kind of like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure kind of thing. As well as that, I think you're doing a great job of stewarding the budget as well, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee? Any comments, Mr. Lee?
I was just gonna say, I don't need to say it because I agree with what Jason just said. I would like to see that individual though, long-term, couple years being full-time here. I think
Yes.
that was what I'd like to see.
That is the plan. He and I've talked about it. He's talked to his fiance about it. He's talked to his mom about it. He and I've talked a long time about it. His goal is to eventually, once I can get him to full-time at the amount that he's worth being paid, is he does plan to move to Lancaster and be full-time here. I'm hoping maybe in about 2 years.
I also would reiterate that I appreciate that you're basically backstopping the 2035's commitment to help bring young people to the community.
Yeah, he's a really really remarkable young guy.
It's the fiance that you really need to talk to.
That's true.
She's on board with this. No, the fiance is on board as well.
That's true.
Hey, a quick question for you. Does the Crime Solvers program fall under your department?
No, no, it doesn't.
The sheriff.
Sure.
The sheriff's,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to add, I got a text from Mr. Geezy, and he is online now. I don't know if he's just listening or able to speak. So if you're asking for additional comments, maybe include Mr. Geezy. And Tony, if I could ask you one question, I know I've referenced it in my email. The board asked about the adult drug court at the initial budget presentation. Can you share anything with that on how that's going?
Drug court is a wonderful program. I love it. It goes along the lines of what you were, Mr. Bellows was talking about with preventing. If we can get people into long-term recovery, then we're going to be preventing crime. The issue is we only have sent maybe on average one person a year to it from Lancaster. There are transportation problems with getting to Westmoreland for these folks. And we would love to send more people to the drug court program, but it just hasn't, we haven't had that many people that are good candidates who want to go. So I'd say it's maybe about one a year, and that's it. But I'm a huge supporter of the drug court program. I think it's a wonderful program. I just, I wish we had more candidates that we could send.
Do you
Well,
have
not-
any?
Not that we had more addicts, but no, but, I mean, we have people who have substance use disorders who are not good candidates. Let me say that.
Do you have any idea of the numbers the other counties may be sending?
I know Westmoreland sends a lot.
Yeah.
I think Richmond County sends a lot.
Okay.
But I can get those stats for you. I think just, I mean, I can't say anecdotally, I think it's maybe about one a year for us.
Okay. All right. Mr. Geezy, you've been listening long enough to ask some questions.
I think Mr. Rowe just told me that he doesn't see Craig on Zoom, so he might be live streaming, and if he's live streaming on YouTube, then he won't be able to speak
Ask
on that.
questions, yeah.
So, and Craig, if you're listening, if there's anything different, text me and let me know.
All right. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure? Do we have the consensus on this?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Mr. Lee, you have a consensus? Mr. Lee, have a consensus?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ms. Cockrell? River Rim.
Susan's budgeted at 5:30, so she can't say anything until 5:30. I'm just kidding, Susan.
That's fine. I'll wander around the room, 'cause I have gifts.
I'm just kidding.
I always come down with gifts. A little trip of fun. You get four. For the head man here. You are mucho important.
Thank you.
This is for Mr. Geezy. If you can put that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for the ability of just having a little extra something.
Okay.
Do that to Mr.
No problem.
Mr. Geezy. And I know you love King Arson.
Thank you.
Are you okay if I start early?
Go, yeah.
Or
I'm
would you
just-
like me to just
I'm
wait?
I'm just messing with you.
I know you are. You
Proceed.
do that all the time. Gentlemen, thank you tonight just for having the opportunity to be in front of you and to thank you once again for your support for Virginia's River Realm. We are asking again for level funding at $25,000, no change from your prior commitment. But I did want to give you a couple little highlights of what's been happening and talk about what's to come. We are doing more and more targeted marketing at very specific groups of people. And you'll see on my note, we're looking very closely at Facebook followers, which tend to be our boomers, and we're also looking at our Instagram followers who are not our boomers. And so as we talk about 2035, we'll be talking more to our Instagram followers, and we have started to characterize our followers in a couple of different ways. We talk about them as either adventure seekers, these are the outdoor folks. They are camaraderie travelers, so that they're family vacationers, or they're experience seekers. So we're going to continue to try to hone in on younger demographic that wants adventure and fun. We've got a little bit older demographic that wants to do the family experience and the multi-generational, and we're trying to work that in a much more refined way as we go into this year and talk about how we want to spend our marketing money. We also launched the Restaurant Week this year. We did it first in Kilmarnock last year to try to work out some of the kinks and see how that would work. We did that across all of the towns and gave them a platform by which any of our restaurants could talk about Restaurant Week. They could offer specials, and Virginia's River Realm would do the marketing lift for all of that. So we started that in January, and we will do that again in subsequent years. I've shared our love for the 8 great small towns, those little buttons. We use those, frankly, as just a cute giveaway. We use that at Taste by the Bay, but it's really all about our commitment to the small towns, and we'll continue to run video promo on each of the small towns going into '23. Whitestone is in the queue right now. It'll be followed by one from Middlesex, one from Lancaster, and we'll alternate that as we move through to 2023. We're pretty excited also about talking about outdoor adventures. We've been talking about boating and Deltaville as the boating capital. Those are 2 campaigns that are underway. We're getting ready to launch a family fun campaign as we go into the post-school time, and then we will do food, and then we'll work on Girls Getaway. That is our #1 campaign that we've ever run. Because women are the decision makers for travel, and so we are updating that right now. I know we tell you where to go all the time. I know it's true in travel and in other things, but we will run that campaign again this year. So I want to thank all of our financial partners. Everybody is on board. All of the incorporated towns, either through their local governments or through their business associations, have partnered with us over the last couple of years. So I think we have the right kind of synergy underway. And then lastly, the 2 big things that are getting ready to happen in '23 and '24 involve all the ARPA tourism funding that is coming through Lancaster County. What River Realm is going to do, the county itself will do the Thomas Landing Pier, but what River Realm is going to do is we're going to provide a physical landing page on the website that is designated to waterfront access. And we will do the marketing creative for the advertising that's going to go in the Waterway Guide. So we'll act as the ad agency. We'll build the website activity. People who come and want to know about Thomas Landing and all of the other on-water activities and water access points, we will have a landing page ready for that anybody can link to, that the county can link to, that we can use for promotions. And we'll build that page out and utilize that so that we can showcase how to access the water, because we think that that's a really critical, important thing. And then for Middlesex, and the reason I just want to share that with you, we're going to do an interactive map, and again with travel guides, but a lot of this is about on-water access as well. And so what we intend to do is once we get both of those things created, we will swap and create that not only for the Middlesex side for a trails guide, we'll then build that for Lancaster as a separate landing page. And the landing page that we're going to build for Lancaster County for Thomas Landing and other water access points, we will duplicate that effort and build that out from Middlesex as well. So by the time we get through the ARPA granting cycle, we should have 2 really nice platforms to talk about on-water access or trail, an interactive trail guide that we can now use across the entire platform of Virginia's River Realm. So those two things are coming hand in hand, really, over the next 12 to 18 months. We'll have all of that in place. So, again, that's a quick summary of where we are. Again, looking for that slightly younger demographic. We're not going to give up on our boomers, but we're going to go in and more heavily concentrate on Instagram with outdoor and a younger audience and a younger audience's needs, again, to try to build that multi-year, multi-generational traveler that will come back to the region time and time again. So that's what I have, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you for your work. I like that.
It's good work.
Yes.
It is good work.
It's
Thank
good
you.
work. It's fun work.
Can I have a button that says the Village of Weems? I'm gonna wear my Irvington, and I know we're not incorporated. Just throwing it out there.
Can I say we have?
We're gonna level fund you regardless of whether you get that name or not.
Well, I will tell you, just anecdotally, when we launched these at Taste by the Bay, and we had a button bar, and we had buckets with all the buttons in it. The one button that we didn't have that got asked for was Weems. So I would encourage you to get incorporated as quickly as you can, and we could be the 9 great small towns, or we could be the 8 great plus one more. We could be 8, you know how you do 1 plus 1
Yes.
when you go to a party? Well, now we can be 8 plus 1.
We could be Weems plus 8.
Weems plus 8. I had not thought of it in that way.
All right, gentlemen, I'm moving on.
Take control of your meeting, Mr. Palin. I sense it's getting away from you.
in Akron.
Any questions?
When you say Muskemon, I'm on. If you, and I know that's partly in Northumberland County, but if you get all the way to Muskemon, I'm all in.
McNeil's Corner.
That's right, that's right.
Any questions?
I'm good.
All right, okay, good, I'm good. All right, we're good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Ms. Brent?
She's online
She's online.
supposedly, but she's not.
Can you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I was getting ready to say you weren't scheduled till 5:40, so maybe you weren't on yet, but I see that you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for providing this opportunity this evening. I want to thank the board for their support, of the work of Virginia Cooperative Extension so that we can serve the families, the youth, and the agricultural community in Lancaster County. Just a little bit of background, our funding is both local from the counties that we serve as well as the state. And to give you an idea, about 12% of our total budget comes from Lancaster County, 14% comes from other counties on the Northern Neck, and then the rest of that operating budget comes from the state. But I don't want to downplay the budget that Lancaster County provides, because that is crucial to the operation of Extension. As you can see that the majority of that budget is in the other payments line item, which is portions of salary for the employees that we have. And for this current year, FY23, we've used just over 50% of our budget so far. Our salary is billed quarterly to the county, so we have only paid for half of the year so far. So we're right on track to be on budget for this year. And the increase that we are looking at, the majority is to that other payments line item. And some of that is due to, we have a retirement coming up of our part-time horticulture program assistant who is instrumental in running the Master Gardener program. He is retiring, and we're looking to immediately fill that position. And in order to be competitive with other part-time positions, and this is a part-time professional position, we need to look at increasing the hourly pay for that position. So some of that is due to that retirement, as well as to some salary adjustments to our full-time employees. And the other increase is in the dues and memberships line item, which is, we have a new extension agent that came on this year, and now looking at paying her professional dues for her professional associations, as we have done in the past for that position. So I am happy to relinquish the rest of my time to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Any questions, gentlemen? Any questions, Mr. Lee? Okay, no questions. Are we good with this? Got a consensus on it? All right, got a consensus? Okay, we have a consensus. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Shakatan?
Mr. Chairman, if you
Yes.
don't mind,
Okay.
Mr. Geezy is trying to link up on the Zoom, and Craig, if you can hear me, I think you might have clicked on the iCompass website. Try the Lancova website and scroll down to the March 28th meeting, and the Zoom link is there. And if you click on that Zoom link, I think Glenn will be able to bring you in. I didn't have time to text all that, so I thought I'd just tell you. So, all right, we'll see if that works. So,
I'll wait for a moment,
no,
see if he gets in.
okay.
Ask him out in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about this.
Mr. Lee, are you in a hotel room, or does your house look like a hotel?
No, I am in a hotel room. We are here in Denver.
Oh, good for you. Beautiful.
It's cold.
Who knows what the weather's going to be here until you go outside.
Okay, we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Palin. Hi, guys. It's good to see everyone. I am here again talking this year regarding the Healthy Harvest Food Bank. And I know you have all the information. Our annual report should be in your package that you received. I do want to point out one or two things regarding the request of $10,000 this year. If you looked at the annual report, you'll notice we had this page that showed 1,414 people served in Lancaster County. If you look at the cover letter that we provided, we were talking about 1,661. All right, so that is just a timing difference, guys. This report, our fiscal year ends June 30th. And a year ago, more than a year ago now, almost 2 years ago, June 30th of last year, we averaged about 1,400 people served in Lancaster. As of January of this year, it's up over 1,661. So what we're experiencing is about a 17% increase in need. And that's pretty much across the board in all 6 counties that we represent. You saw the statistics, about 96% of what we do goes right back to the community. We are also being challenged with food. I don't know if you all understand the network from the Department of Agriculture to Feeding America, and then what's redistributed from Feeding America at a very economical cost. About a year ago, we had over 255,000 pounds of shelf-stable food in our warehouse. Now it's averaging about 50,000 pounds. And we have a coupled need, coupled with increased need, higher costs, and even the local food drives in Lancaster and the surrounding counties have dropped off. And so that puts us in a position of greater need and less supply. We are hoping, and the information that we are receiving from Feeding America is that shelf-stable food, canned goods, boxed goods, are going to continue to be in short supply. And therefore, as our costs go up, we are trying to raise more money to cover those increased costs and satisfy the needs in our communities. So you have that information in front of you. And I'm glad to answer any question on that.
Paul, how does, we compare with the other counties that you serve for as, the funds you receive?
We are receiving between 5 and 10,000 from each county now, and we are requesting 10,000 from each county this year. Also, I wanted to talk to you about something you may not be aware of. I know Bill is, because he's been up there to see it. Prior to COVID, our board had entered into an agreement and approved to build a aquaponics center. The aquaponics center combines agriculture and fish production. The agriculture is in a hothouse, tilapia in tanks, using the nutrients and circulating that water feeds the plants. What you have in front of you is just a highlight sheet of what we're trying to do. One of the main purposes of this unit is to provide high-quality vegetables and fish, at the same time educating children on the importance of fresh food and sustainable agriculture. In fact, we have gone to each of the 6 school districts we represent, and we have consensus from each superintendent to be able to send primary children to the aquaponics center, which is connected to our main facility in Warsaw. They will come in the fall, and they'll actually plant their own produce. They'll come back, and what kid doesn't like to see fish in tanks, right? So I even like to look at the fish in the tanks. So that's why I go to aquariums wherever I go. So what'll happen is, as the produce grows, the children will come and visit. And then when it's harvested, we'll harvest some of the fish, the produce that they've raised, along with other product from the food bank. We are building a 60-seat demonstration kitchen that's going to be like out of a TV show, with cameras coming out of the ceilings, big monitors on the walls. And we're inviting parents to come in with their children and then cook a healthy meal in front of them with them there. I think I've told you in the past that one of the big issues with most of the people that we serve, and I know Jeannie experiences this too, is over 30-some% of the people we serve have high blood sugar, and they either have diabetes or borderline. There's another group of about the same demographic that has heart conditions, and over 65% are overweight. What we're trying to do is not only educate children, we're trying to expand, especially when we're dealing with generational poverty, we're trying to expand the horizon of children as to what the possibilities are. Also, with the adults, we want to try to begin to re-educate as to what it takes to cook a healthy meal. And so this aquaponics center will be online, we're hoping, by the 1st of June, and we'd like each of the supervisors to come up and visit us in that venture. I think you'll be very surprised to see what we have going on up there. Another side note, when the board approved this, not your board, when our food bank board approved the project, it was $1.8 million. It's going to come in somewhere around $3.5 million because of inflation during this period of time. So we're getting hit from several different directions. We've actually raised the original amount of money to build it, but now we're looking at some significant lending and continued fund development to get it paid for.
All right, thank you. Welcome aboard, Mr. Geezy. All right.
Hey, Craig.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Thank you, guys. It was a little challenging, but I got it. In more ways than one today.
Good to see you.
I guess the last question I got for Paul, did we ever get straightened out with that tax situation in Richmond County?
No, sir, it has not been resolved.
I just had to ask.
I know you did. I was waiting for it, Bill. I would be disappointed if you hadn't.
Maybe you should just stop paying the tax bill.
I'm the chairman. I don't want to be handcuffed and brought to the Richmond County Jail. You'll know I'll never get out.
All right, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
You know, in the past, if there hasn't been a consensus right away, you all have decided to
yes,
take it under consideration and decide later.
This is something we want to put off till later.
I mean, I like what they're doing, and I think, I mean, I don't like to spend a lot more money either, but this is important to, I mean, having people properly fed in the community amongst the least of us feeds into our school systems and every other kind of underpinning. So if we don't have people, like our kids going to school properly, with proper nutrition, that feeds into lack of education, and then which feeds into criminal activity, and so it kind of snowballs in on itself. So I would go ahead and support this.
Yeah, and I've been working with the food banks in this area, and I've noticed how they're as Mr. Shakatana said, how their produce is decreasing, and tremendously decreasing, yeah. So I can go along
This
with
is only my second time doing this, so is it normal just to approve everything that's in front of us? Because I have a feeling that's where we're headed tonight. No?
No.
Okay.
Bill, you're right. We want it approved right now. That's right.
Most of them we approved tonight, or have a consensus on it being even level funding, most of them.
Well, I've been up, just like Paul indicated, I've been to Warsaw and I've seen what they're doing. I'll be anxious to come back in June, but I really, I support this.
Okay, well, I'm going to support it because Bill supports it.
Mr. Geezy?
I'm in favor of it,
Okay,
yes.
Mr. Geezy? Mr. Geezy?
Yeah, well, I am in favor of it, yeah. Being a ex-board member, I was sort of keeping quiet but I do support what they're doing up there and very supportive of it, so.
Yeah, and you supplied some produce for it, too.
Yes, he does.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Mr. Mumford, Boys and Girls Club. Oh, this is going good. I like this page stuff.
Thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us from the Boys and Girls Club to come up and speak today. With me is Jill Sears, our development director, and she's going to help me out with some of what we chat with you tonight. You all received our packet of information that we shared, and you know that we've been in the community now for 15 years. This year, we probably served more Lancaster youth than we've probably served in our history. We served over 350 pretty well throughout the year, to the fact that before this year, if you go back to 2019, well, I guess this past year we started to see this, our highest day in the school year was maybe 115 kids after school. In the summer, our highest day ever was like 172 kids on one day. Just last month, we had 2 days after school that we were over 175 kids coming to the Boys and Girls Club in Lancaster. That is a tremendous growth from prior to COVID. And I think part of it is the need, and part of it that you're seeing is that the kids the community is seeing what we're trying to provide after 15 years, the positive impacts that we're working on. We come to you today seeking an increase in funding over the last several years. We're actually asking for $45,000 to help us continue the positive impact and growing numbers of children that we're currently serving just in Lancaster. We're now in Northumberland, we're now in Richmond County, but tonight I just want to talk about our Lancaster attendance and participation. You know, the pandemic, I've heard people talk about the pandemic. Pandemic is in the past, but the effects of it are still here with us. And we're dealing with and trying to help kids with those lingering issues, those lingering concerns, whether it be educational or it be social and those type emotional concerns that we're seeing not once in a while, but they seem to be popping up that we're working with more and more often than we have ever. And the cost to do business at the Boys and Girls Club, we all know everything has gone up in cost. The additional staff that are needed to serve more kids, the ability for us to keep up with the state mandated, we all did the mandated increases this year for our lowest wage earners on our staffs. But our board also took a stance to say that we needed to start paying a living wage for our team members. If you're going to put programs in the hands of staff that are going to work with kids, you've got to make sure that those are quality team members and they've been trained well. And you can't do that at minimum wage as well as we'd like to think we could. So we've had to put more into that part of our programs so that our staff can feel proud of what they're doing and they don't feel like they need to look to McDonald's or another business in our community to make a better wage than what we were able to offer. We also we also are in support, and we've been in conversations with regarding the hiring of a new staff member here in the county to help with recreation and such. And it's our goal to make sure that our facilities are open nights and weekends for whenever they would need to utilize or want to utilize that gym facility, whether it be for basketball. We got 2 batting cages. We've got a few other things in there that we can make available for evening and weekend events. That does come with a cost. I don't want to say, oh, well, we can only do it if the money's there. We want to make sure that we can open the doors and not worry about the fact that we need a staff there to make sure that the facility is being managed properly and you've got what you need for that program. But I wanted Jill to also kind of bring it back home to say really what we're about is our kids and providing for our community kids.
That's right. Phil talks about hiring staff, retaining staff that makes these connections with these kids and makes a difference in their lives. And I want to talk about a Weems boy for you tonight. James Cook is one of our outstanding youth, and I did print his little bio for you here. But James came to the club, thank you. James came to the club during COVID. He's a senior this year at Lancaster High School, and he and his 2 brothers and sister also came to the club. And he has really blossomed. When he gave his speeches about being Youth of the Year, he talked about being withdrawn. COVID had kind of shut him down. He was encouraged to come to the club, and gradually he connected with our program lead, Mr. Richie Carter. They connected over anime art, they connected over food, and he really has come out of his shell and taken advantage of the opportunities we've provided. He also was placed in an internship with Northern Neck Insurance Company last summer, and he hopes to work with them again. And this year, he was recognized as our Youth of the Year, our local Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Club of the Northern Neck. And Philip just got back on Saturday.
We went to Washington, D.C., where he had the opportunity to compete against about 25 other young people from the different parts of Virginia who were their community's Youth of the Year. And they got to experience some great opportunities that were provided up in the Washington, D.C. area. Some of these kids had never been to Washington, had not been to some of the Wizards gave us a free chance to go visit, watch a game, and that was something that was new for these kids. There were a couple of other things they got to do, but he didn't win, but he is a winner for us because each of these young people, they represent their community, they represent what the Boys and Girls Club's best, what we have, that is our best, which is our kids. And those that take advantage of the opportunities we provide excel. So,
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So we're there to support Lancaster County kids. We're providing healthy food for these kids. We're providing academic support to battle against this enormous COVID learning loss that we see every day. We're there to provide emotional support, social interactions for these kids. And if you haven't been to our club site in Lancaster County, I would love to give you a tour and let you see firsthand what a beautiful facility we have. And we have the potential to serve even more kids, but we need your help to do it. So thank you for hearing us tonight.
Any questions?
I like what you are doing there. I was recently at your facility with the Lions Club. We're trying to work together, see what we can do to work together. And before we had a meeting, Mrs. Anderson gave us a tour. And so we began to ask questions and what you're doing for those children, especially in the career areas. I mean, they should really be proud to be there. I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
I want to say some other things, but I'm public, you know? I like what you're doing with the kids. And the support that you have there that's helping them, they should really, I mean, I'm hoping they really take advantage of what you have to offer them and what you're offering them. That's my comments.
Mr. Palin,
Yes, sir.
if, what I would like to see us do at this time is move this to the consideration column, and just for Bill Smith and Craig's information, this budget was cut back a few years ago. It was at 55.
Correct.
So that's why I'd like to move it over to the consideration, so we can consider, this $10,000 increase that they requested, because it was at 55 one time.
Yeah. All right. I'm in agreement with that.
Well, I would step out and say that we can do that, but I would be in favor of this. First, James is my neighbor, and he is a good kid.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, he has an amazing story of what happened as a young boy and where he's come today, so that's a great story. And we would love to use your facility when the time calls for that to happen. I would urge that we maybe get a basketball game between our board and the school board. And maybe in the. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. I still put the money on
We'd
us.
be willing to host that.
They're all ladies, though.
You might want to recruit some of our teens to play with you.
Craig, I don't think Bill know what he's saying.
He's talking gibberish down there.
Oh, Craig's on mute.
Yeah,
You
you were muted, Craig.
I say the last thing I feel like right now is a basketball. So speak for yourself, Mr. Smith.
Okay, let's act.
Due to
that's
age
not gonna
restriction,
happen.
shuffleboard maybe more our speed, no.
So we can do
Golf.
that. We'll discuss it, but like
Yeah,
you said,
and
it's.
then we make that'll give us time to really sit down and discuss things. I got a feeling we're all on the same page anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Just because we say yes doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
That's true. That's true. All right. It's Wilson, YMCA.
Hi, good
How
evening.
you doing? Good?
Liz Wilson, I'm the Executive Director at the Y in Kilmarnock, and I brought Sarah Bridge with me tonight. She currently serves as our Child Care Director at the Wiley Child Development Center. She oversees infant care all the way to preschool, 2Ks, 3Ks, 4Ks, and camp in the summer. And I wanted her to share her Y story, and then I'll give you some data to back that up. Sarah.
Hi, how are y'all doing tonight?
Good.
So I grew up in the Y. I've actually been working for the Y for 15 years, but I started out as a kid. I went to summer camp there when they used to run it out of the middle school, right there where they're redoing it. 4 or 9 months is when I could go because my parents had to work. So I went there as a camp kid. I learned to swim at the Wiley Center, in that old pool where they tore it down. So I learned how to swim there. As I moved up, I did homework there. My mom used to take us there. We'd sit in the racquetball room, play some, do homework, and then just grew up within the Y. When I was old enough, about 14 years old, I started volunteering. I
taught all of the soccer teams and stuff wherever they needed me. And then I wanted to get my lifeguarding and swim instructor. So then I got those and I volunteered to do a school to pool and taught all the second graders how to swim at Northumberland and Lancaster. So I've done both. And then as I moved up, come on through, and I got a job as soon as I could. So this is my first and only job. Wow. So 15 years at the Y, but it's way more than that. But then I moved to Lancaster after my father passed away. I needed to leave my home at Northumberland, at the Y in Northumberland, because I lost my dad when I was working at Northumberland. And what they did for me, the Y, there's actually a plaque where the board had donated money to support me and my brother because my dad was raising us at the time. And he passed away with cancer, so watching us suffer and then bringing food in, the Y brought food, they donated money. So the Y has always been my home away from home. Now I'm a single mom of 2 children, full custody of both my kids. They go to the Y, they've been there since they were 16 months old. The Y has paid for my childcare. Board members have paid for my childcare. They've even given me Food Lion cards to help me with my food when I was going through hard times. And now my kids have learned to swim at the Y. They are striving, and it's their home away from home. We feel safe there and everything. And as I move forward, I gained the child care director. I've been pushing for infant care because that is a need in the area. I have nieces and nephews that can't find child care. I couldn't find child care at the time. I actually had an 85-year-old woman babysitting my kids because there was no child care in the area. So just striving to do more, and our numbers have grown, and she'll share all of that with you. Just adding the infant care and since COVID and moving forward with it, and as I've been in the director's in the director's role, but the Y is my home away from home, and so being within the Y and seeing where I've turned out to be, it is an awesome place to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. We impact a lot of local Northern Neck folks just like that, where they've grown up from the Y, and I've been with the Y 20 years now, so unfortunately I can remember when she was in after-school programs, so we have quite a few Boomerang members. I've given you a full packet of information. We're asking for level funding this year at $50,000. We relaunched infant care. Sarah mentioned that. I believe that's in alignment with the 2035 agenda. We've had a couple of meetings with Paul Shakatano. He shared with our board plans for that and the importance of licensed infant care in the Northern Neck. Currently, we're full. We have 12 infants in our care, 85% financial assistance. We have a waiting list. We have a waiting list for all of our ages. Right now, we already have almost 70 kids registered for camp. In addition to the good stuff we're doing with childcare, we are running a variety of programs. I won't list all of these, but the impact is pretty incredible. We served a unique 638 Northern Neck children through all of those different programs. We serve 2,692 residents in the Northern Neck. We employ right now 77 people, and 42 of those people are in direct connection with programs, serving adults down to infants. Our overall expenses, just for, this is not factoring in facility costs. The only cost for the pool there would be the chemicals listed, is $311,000. And our total revenue for the programs we're offering is at $130,000. I'll entertain questions or talk about something different.
Thank you for what you're doing for the children and the youth of the Northern Neck, really, and especially Lancaster County. All right, any questions, gents? All right. No. Craig, no. All right, well, I'm in favor of level funding. All right, you okay? Mr. Lee, Mr. Geezy?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right,
Yeah.
okay, good. Thank you.
I'm okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Ms. Cooper, Community Library?
They've got what you sent me earlier.
Thank you so much. Rita's going to start as president of the library board to speak from the financial.
Let me say this, because the ones I've spoken to are gone, and some of y'all are new coming in. We've scheduled 10 minutes for you to speak, so, and we want you to leave part of that for questions. All right, so just jump right on in and get to the facts. All right, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Rita Tyson. I am the president of the library this year. I previously served a term as treasurer for about 5 years. I believe that you have my statement and Alice's statement, so I will just try to make the highlights. We had made a request for some additional funding this year. Principally, we have 2 new initiatives, the mobile library, and we would like to participate in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to get more books in the hands of children in the county. The mobile library has been fully funded from private sources. We've had, we do owe a deep debt of gratitude to the former Friends of the Library who provided most of the funding over the years with book sales. We also have had grants and some bequests. So the vehicle itself is paid for, but it will require additional operating costs and staffing. The Dolly Parton Library will put up to 60 books in the hands of each child that is enrolled. And the Dolly Parton Foundation provides a lot of the administrative oversight and selection of the books and actually getting them out. But the sponsor, which we would apply to be a sponsor, would be responsible for about, I think the number is $25 a year per child to offset some of the costs, including shipping. So expenses for these new projects, together with some increased staffing costs, I'm sure everybody's telling you about increased staffing costs, minimum wage, inflation, et cetera. But our overall budget estimate for the next fiscal year is a modest 4% increase. While expenses are growing, we're also facing a reduction in state aid. The state aid is linked to the local funding, and for various reasons, including 2 years ago, a small drop in the funding. We're losing about $20,000, I think, in state aid. Our estimated budget will require taking $200,000 from our endowment funds, and of course, everyone's bank accounts, investment accounts don't look as good as they did a couple of years ago. The breakdown of the sources of funds is in your paper. The library, if we got the full funding request, would be less than, or just a little bit more than 19% of the total funding, and 64% of the funding estimated for fiscal year 24 comes from private sources. We're proud of the many services we provide to the community and are immensely grateful to all of those who help make it possible, including our county board. Our recent adoption of a 5-year strategic plan will help us identify how best to move forward in the future with services to all members, children, teens, working parents, veterans, retirees, the housebound, at the library, or in their neighborhoods with the mobile library. So we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to share with you the activities and accomplishments of our wonderful library, and it's absolutely made possible with the support of the county. Since you have the documents, I will summarize. We did have a wonderful summer 2022 reading program. It was our first year of having all ages, something for, children through adults. We did have 48 programs for children, 26 for teens, and 113 programs for adults. All of this is provided free of charge for our community. A special highlight was hosting Anthony Ray Hinton, who is the author of The Sun Does Shine, and his story was also included in the book by Brian Stevenson entitled Just Mercy, which was later made into a movie. An incredible, revealing story of hope, love, justice, and the power of reading by a man who spent 30 years on death row for a crime he didn't commit. And I think all of us who attended and met him were changed for the better. And I mean, I have to say, you know, the connections he made with our community were profound, and he was also profoundly affected. He was contracted to speak for half an hour, and he spoke for 45 minutes, I think, and really extended himself in some ways that he didn't have to do in terms of providing his signed book to those who wanted it. We are experiencing increases in all activities at the library as we move out of the pandemic. The meeting rooms are a hot ticket item. We're negotiating with people every day as to trying to find them space to meet. So good news, bad news. Even the Northern Neck Tourist Council views us as the best meeting place in the Northern Neck. So as you can see, that draws groups from all over, and including at the state level sometimes. A few statistics for the current fiscal year ending February 28th. So far, we've had 290 programs for adults, 54 for teens, 333 children's programs. We've distributed 5,475 books to children. Our computer and Wi-Fi usage is 20,748. I did want to mention, with the addition of the mobile library, until the infrastructure in the county is completed, we'll be able to fill some of that gap with equipment on the mobile library to provide Wi-Fi broadband throughout some more the neighborhoods where they can't have that access right now. We've issued 523 new library cards this year, which is 145 more than the previous year. And as I say, back to the meeting rooms, we've had just in 8 months, 325 meetings in our meeting rooms and 425 uses of our study rooms. We don't include any library programs in that. This is all community use. This is not us. We really are excited about the mobile library coming. We anticipate it, according to Farber Specialty Vehicles in Columbus, Ohio, will be delivered June of this year, and then once it's here, it'll be designed and wrapped locally, and then it'll get stocked with books and equipment. And we anticipate, if all goes well, it'll roll out with the beginning of the school year. Another feature of the mobile library we're excited about is it will have a screen on the side of the mobile library, and once again, for those children who aren't able to come into town for story time on Wednesday mornings with Miss Tanya, they'll be able to participate virtually. So we're pretty excited that we'll be able to extend literacy and reading and books to more of our community with our mobile library. We really appreciate your ongoing support, and we'd entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions? All right. Any questions online? Mr. Geezy, Mr. Lee?
No, I don't have any.
No, sir.
Do you charge for the meeting space?
The only time we charge for the meeting space is if that meeting charges the people who attend.
Okay.
So if there's a fundraiser or some sort of a business meeting, we will charge for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm of the mindset that we refer this to another meeting too, where we can have some time to discuss this, the increase of this. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm in favor of
Thank you
that.
very
You in
much.
favor of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So the
Yes.
pattern I'm seeing is that if it's over level funding, we're gonna put it to the side.
So some of it,
I'm just throwing that out there.
some of it, depending on what it is and what the situation's been in the past. All right. Okay. Here's the next one.
Chris Braley with the Youth Club. I don't know if he moved to virtual or not.
Is he up, he's online, Chris? All right,
I don't see him, but our 640, there they are right there.
okay, you're up.
We're getting ready to cut your department.
You get that reaction every time you walk into a room, don't you, Dwight? You're up, yeah. We're running a little ahead of schedule, so,
Oh, I'm in front of these people? back
you're
there,
in
too?
front of Kathy and Brandon, so, yeah.
Well, hey, thank you all for having us. Dwight Forrester with Dreamfields, current vice president. Tonight I have with me our current president, Chris Brawley.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You must have been absent from the meeting.
And our treasurer, Brian Manitz, with Davenport, first vice president, and Chris is another local business owner with Synergy Global. So tonight, we're just here. Thank you for the support that you've continued to give us. We are seeking level funding again this year. And we're just going to go through some highlights of kind of what's going on. We've done a lot of work at the park since last year. Matter of fact, last night we just finished a brand-new bullpen for our girls softball program, benefits high school and JV and Little League. So we finished that last night. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and he's going to give you a little rundown of what we have going on and this upcoming weekend. And if you get into traffic in Kilmarnock, it's our fault, we're sorry. And don't try to go out to eat this weekend because the place is going to be packed. I'll let Chris tell you about it.
Hi there, good evening. So this weekend, the high school is hosting a tournament, Wells Fargo Invitational. Starts Thursday evening, Friday evening, and then runs all day on Saturday. There's about, not including the 4 Lancaster County teams, I think there's 18 other high schools from middle school, softball and baseball, JV, softball, baseball, and varsity softball and baseball that'll be participating in that. So we're hosting them this weekend. In April, we have a baseball tournament, 10-year-old and 11-year-old baseball tournament we'll be hosting in Dreamfields. So we do host other events besides Little League and the standard high school sports. And that 3-day tournament in April will bring in folks from Richmond area, Hampton Roads area for the entire weekend. Hopefully all the hotels and will be booked and restaurants will be packed. Like Dwight said, we did just finish our bullpen for the softball field. We have planned a new batting cage facility, outdoor batting cage facility there at the park that we will be working on throughout this year. Right now, we have 160 kids signed up for Little League across 15 teams, both in softball, baseball, and t-ball. That will run through the spring, and then we will start up our fall season. Dwight, anything else?
No, that's it. And we'll also, we're about 75. We are, with our relationship with the schools, Lancaster County Public School Systems, I think we're supporting around 75 athletes that are using the facility daily now. We have middle school ball is now being played and hosted at Dreamfields, which is great. I got to watch my first middle school ball game just yesterday, so big turnout for that. So again, we really appreciate your support. Please come down this weekend if you're in the area. I think that all of the hotels, I don't think you can find a place from here to Tappahannock this weekend, and it's going to be a big turnout. So it's a great, we're getting ready to kick it off. April 14th is opening day for Little League. So if you're around, come on out. And actually, opening night, we're doing it under the lights. Awesome lights, if you haven't seen them. So thank you so much. Mr. Lee, Craig, didn't see you up there. Now we see you. Good to see you guys tonight. So that's all.
Good seeing you.
Okay. All right. Unless you got any statements or questions, gentlemen, I suggest that we just go ahead and have a consensus on this one, level funding.
Yep, I'm in favor.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good with
Level
that.
funding. Thank you, gents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy Clark.
Your timing is good, too.
Got some handouts.
You didn't have to spend any time on that hard pew. Jeannie,
Thank you, sir.
you're a little early. You must be getting tired over there.
I thought somebody would be absent, you know, you could just jump right in.
I've enjoyed it.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here in front of you once again. We have just handed out to you some packets with their information, including our most recent annual report. We'll leave that for you to browse through at your leisure. We would point out during this last program year, a lot of new things on the horizon for us coming out of the COVID pandemic. We have relocated our office. We made the whopping move to go straight across the parking lot. We are now on the backside of the Richmond County Health Department, but that's presented us with a great opportunity for public health, safety, and just to expand our horizons and grow our staff, make us a little more comfortable. So please, the next time you're in Warsaw, stop by and see us. We were able to finally, last year, obtain the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act's Ag Assessment MOU signed with Lancaster County. So we're happy to report that we have completed those 2 ag assessments for Lancaster in this program year. We've hired a new marketing outreach specialist, Kelly Brand, that started in October. She has really hit the ground running. She's coming up with some great printed materials and now taking over the day-to-day maintenance of our website, which allows us a lot more opportunities to interact. She'll actually be attending the Career Day here at Lancaster Middle School this Friday, and we just held our biannual household hazardous waste event here in the parking lot this past Saturday. We are in unprecedented times with funding for our VAX program. Just for historical purposes, I'll point out when this program started in 1985, there was a total $1.5 million statewide for the entire program. This current program year, our district alone has a $5.5 million allocation. So we have really grown by leaps and bounds, and are very proud.
What that stands for?
The VAX program?
Yes.
The Virginia Ag Conservation Cost Share Program. So this is for our farmers for implementing BMPs, yes. We're very proud of the efforts. When we learned that we were receiving that much money, we started to panic, quite honestly, thinking, how are we ever going to get this much money out the door? And actually, our signups, once again, exceeded our allocation. So our Northern Neck farmers are committed to making the investment in conservation. So we're very proud of their efforts. One last item that you will see in your packets is a public notice. November 2023 is an election cycle for our elected board of directors. We have 2 directors from each of the Northern Neck counties. We are aware of 1 vacancy coming up for Lancaster County. So if you are aware of anyone, doesn't have to be a farmer, but someone that would have some conservation interest, if they're interested in learning more about that position, we would ask that you have them reach out to us. We can explain the duties, roles, and responsibilities.
Who's leaving?
Faye Andrashko. And if you may recall, Faye was an employee of our district about maybe 10 years ago, and she's been a director for us. But she's moving on a different phase of life and looking forward to some traveling. So we support those efforts. We are holding a special session at our office an hour prior to our next board meeting. So that's Wednesday, April the 12th at 5 p.m. at our office. We'll have the registrars from Richmond and Lancaster County coming out to talk to our directors. This election cycle will be a little different for them because they now are, just as you go through, they are held to the campaign finance laws, although they do no campaigning. So our local registrars are coming out to kind of guide them through that process of getting registered through Comet, opening up their bank accounts for the zero funds that they're going to collect,
But nonetheless, we do want to recognize that your Lancaster registrar was willing to come out and sort of help us. Our district directors are the only elected representatives in the Commonwealth that receive no salary or compensation for their service. So this is very different for them. We have some directors that don't have computers and don't use email or internet. So having to register with an online database such as Comet is very difficult for them. So if you are aware of anyone, this session that we're holding is open for those seeking re-election or new folks interested in being elected to our board. So if you're aware of any candidates, please send them their way.
Comment was difficult for me. I can't imagine what it's like for others,
Yes,
the older generation.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we're only asking for level funding this year.
You're listening.
What are we gonna do then?
We're gonna approve this.
All right, we consent?
Yes.
Yeah, we got to consent, guys online? All right.
Yeah.
All right, good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
All right, you up,
It's your turn.
yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been delightful. I am with Brooke Graham, and who's our treasurer. But first, I have to say, it really is a delight to be here, and I do like being towards the end to hear all the impact of all the community and all the layers that you all have to work with in a budget, but it's a lot to be proud of in our community, because they're all win-wins how we move forward. We had a big year. We came out of COVID. We never shut the door one day. We thrived in it, and our COVID numbers were very low in our clinic. Very proud of that. We did a lot of additional things, temperatures at the door, as you all know, deliveries, 90 days, drugs carried to the cars. So we minimized people coming back and forth, and it really did pay off. But now we're moving forward with it, with less restrictions, and we had our biggest year ever. One piece that's been very complicated is rural health professionals to move to this area. In our medical, we have a part-time medical director, a full-time nurse practitioner, a part-time medical assistant, and 1 RN. This year, we've been able, mainly because of COVID, people decided to kind of change their mode of medicine again, and so we were able to hire a part-time medical doctor from the hospital who was interested in coming for a week a month, which is great, because most of our patients, like 98%, are chronic care, so there's a monthly monitoring on a number of these patients. So we're very excited about that. Plus, on top of that, we were able to find another part-time RN. And I have to tell you, in our 30 years, this is the first time I've been able to do that in 1 year. So very excited about that. We also have opened up to 83 sports physicals. So those people at the ball field have been gotten the sports physicals, hoping to be able to expand that. COVID was difficult during those years to be able to reach those needs, but last year we did do 83. And our dental clinic, we're being featured. We partner with the VCU School of Dentistry. They send 4 students and 1 hygiene, 3 dental. We hire a staff dentist 4 days a week, and they, I have to say, this was the biggest surprise to me during COVID, because that had always been our model. But when COVID came, the students weren't allowed to come for like 18 months. And we went to the basic private practice. I'm just laughing because, we would see anywhere from 100 to 125 a week patients, but we went to the private practice model. We were only able to see like 12 to 15 a day, which really cut into our ability to be able to serve as many patients as we had. And we were, during COVID, already backed up over 750 visits. So that was huge. We came through, and now we're back in that. And the VCU is going to feature us in their magazine. They come on Thursday, and our dental program is going to be featured with this partnership. It's very creative. It really does bring an incredible amount of energy, because there's a lot of youth that come, and there's it coming into the building, but also there is that understanding of a lot of the students have had opportunity, and to listen to them at the lunchroom, to hear their experiences. They're just overwhelmed and heartfelt about the patients and the burden of not having been able to afford dental care for so long. We had over 528 new patients in ours this year alone. So you can imagine, you know, the dire need. We're booked out anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We do emergencies immediately, but we are also strapped and looking for a full-time dentist. We also have gone for a grant for a dental hygienist. So both of those are two things that we're looking for to be able to expand in our dental clinic. We have a staff dentist who did 28 years of private practice, and he said never, in his 28 years, he did more dentures in 1 year than he did in his 28 years of practice. He said, and that is just one of the most heartfelt things. There's a story of a man in your packet. You know, I will tell you that when someone has a delivery of their teeth, it is filtered through the staff, and people come because it is so overwhelming, and it's so energizing for staff and emotional to see the person walking away with a smile and being able to eat, and which impacts their medical care as well, you know. So it is, you know, that blood pressure, you need the medicines and you need that, but the piece that really shines is when you see a diabetic come out with a low hemoglobin A1C. They've been able to reduce their, you know, weight and have been able to live in a healthy. At the same time, the diabetics are able to get their hygiene, and which can, without poor oral health, really impacts medical health. And mental health when you have pain, I can tell you that as well. Because I've had one toothache in my life, and I was very appreciative to be able to have that experience. My daughter, I almost had her call the ambulance, truly, because I had never had such incredible pain. And so, you know, they've experienced a lot of that, and it's been a very heartfelt thing to see as people walk out smiling and jumping around and happy. In our pharmacy, we did 13,657 prescriptions at a retail value of $3.7 million. So, you know, we're making a difference, and we're in our 30th year. You all have seen me grow up and grow out. I said I can't retire until I lose what I gained during the last 30 years, so could be another 150. But it has been a very important piece, and I just want you to know that we've had the same formula for those 30 years, and we are very appreciative to continue level funding if you all would be so gracious to move forward with that. I mean, I don't mean right now, I just mean as you move forward with your budgeting. That it has been a gift to be here. The humor has been great. And I've been watching March Madness, and I have one new shoulder. I'm going for another one. So I would like take on the board, and our board could take on you all in the basketball game. Greg, you could be center. The way we play is we don't run back and forth on the court. We just throw the ball, and when I get two new shoulders, I'll be able to do that. So.
I'm about 5'10", so that don't work.
But, Brokey, do you have anything to say?
I just very briefly just want to, first of all, thank Jeannie. We have the distinction, and you probably know this, but of all the free clinics in the state of Virginia, we're the only one that has had the same one since day one, and that wasn't yesterday, that was 30 years ago. And,
they aren't saying the oldest anymore.
but, so we've been very, very fortunate to have that. It provides a continuity. We went through a really perilous time a few years ago when COVID hit, and we had to change everything we were doing, and we didn't know how it was all going to turn out, and we're very thankful to be moving on from that. And we're, as Jeannie said, we're just looking for level funding this year. We did receive a bump last year, which we very much appreciated. I think we'd been level for about 8 years before that, but with everything we dealt with in COVID, that was very much appreciated, and on behalf of the clinic and our patients, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that. But obviously, we're not expecting increases every year, but that one really helped. And if you have any questions on the financial information, all that, I'd be glad to answer them. But that's really all I've got to say.
Can you just verify the amount that you're asking?
The amount, well, it's the level, it was 135, 135.
Yeah, 135, 713, and the formula that Jeannie was talking about generated the 151, 167 that was under the request line. But if I'm hearing you all correctly, what you're saying is that you're okay with the level funded from the approved FY '23 of 135, 713?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
We appreciate that very much. We really do, yeah. And thank you very much for all that you do.
I got one question. I got one question for Gina.
See how my arm's doing, Bill?
Yeah.
Have you watched the VTech girls?
Oh,
Yeah.
I almost texted you last night. You would have awake since you're in Denver.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was. I watched
was a great game.
It was awesome.
Oh, my God.
Final four.
Screaming and texting Gus Sheldon and.
They're gonna beat LSU and then beat South Carolina.
I know.
South Carolina might be a bit of a, South Carolina looks good. I think they'll beat LSU. Maybe they'll beat South Carolina.
And that will
No.
be Tech's first national champion.
Team,
Yeah.
first team
Yes.
national championship. They've had individual national
I'm
champions, but
going
first
to be
team.
yelling.
And as my daughter reminded me, all the money that's poured into boys' sports, the first national championship team will be a
Going to be
women's sport.
a women's, yes.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Anyway, thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Okay, so gentlemen, level funding.
I guess we have to, yeah, it's level.
Because it's not-
Consensus of that?
Yep, okay. Online level funding, yep. We got a consensus, all right, level funding.
Yes.
Really appreciate that, right? Okay, next one, Mrs. Hodges. Ms. Hodges here?
Yeah, she just walked in.
Okay. You up?
Look.
I have two board members that are supposed to be here.
Okay.
I'm waiting a few more minutes.
We-
and I hate when they come out.
That, and that's fine. We're running a little bit ahead of schedule. Yeah, Linda was scheduled at 7, so it might be a good time to take maybe a 5 or 10-minute recess to visit the little boys' room and whatnot. And
6:38, 7, okay.
yeah.
So we'll
And then
come back at, in about 10 minutes.
all right.
Okay.
All right? We recess until Getting back to order. All right, Mrs. Hodges?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. We
Oh,
got
you're
Bill
right.
and
Bill
Craig.
says-
Okay,
Forget
I
it,
do
I'm going
have
out
some
to dinner.
materials. I do have some materials for, thank you, and I'll take one for you. So- Good evening, board members and Mr. Gill. As was said earlier, I'm Linda Hodges, and I'm the Executive Director of the Community Services Board. And once again, on behalf of the CSB Board of Directors, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to each of you for this opportunity to present our budget requests for this next fiscal year, 2024. As I mentioned earlier, two of our board members are here. Maria Jones, as you know, is a board representative from Lancaster County. And what you may not know is that this year we voted to add an ex officio board member, who is Alice Coates, our first ex officio board member. And as I'm sure you also know, she was a previous board member from Lancaster. And with both her institutional knowledge of our agency and a passion for what we do, she was a perfect choice for our first ex officio member. I believe you have in front of you information that was sent to the county administrator's office, and I'm sure that you have noticed that we're requesting an increase over last year. That's usually the first thing board members notice. Now, the reason we've requested an increase in funding was to meet the required 10% match of the state funding that we receive, and this is outlined in the Code of Virginia. And it is also outlined in our performance contract with the Department of Behavioral Health. So the increase is $7,358 over last year's amount of $42,963, which is a 17.1% increase. And again, we've asked this from each of the counties. So we've asked everybody so we can finally meet that 10% match. What we've done in previous years, we've had to go to in-kind funding. So when we were in all the schools, we were able to use the in-kind funding of not have office space, in the jails using that as office space. But in the last several years, our programs in the school, our TDT program, has been eliminated, and we don't have the amount of in-kind funding that we once did. And so the Board of Directors made a decision that let's just request what we need and go forward from there. As you can see, I've also provided data for Lancaster County as far as the services we've provided. And we provided over 300 services to over 300 individuals from Lancaster County in fiscal year 2022. And in fact, this is a few over the year prior. We have less staff because we have had challenges with workforce, but in Lancaster at least, we've provided more services to more people. Over and above that number, we've served 200 individuals in our prevention services, and then there are 35 individuals who've received services through our peer recovery program, which is housed in Warsaw. Also, what you also have is information on our sliding fee scale. In this past year, 22% of the individuals from Lancaster received services on the sliding fee scale. And this means that 22% of the people in Lancaster that needed services did not have health insurance. The year prior, fiscal year 2021, it was 30%. So it has decreased. But as I'm sure you know, April 1, they are reviewing all the Medicaid applications, all the Medicaid recipients, because they have not done that during COVID. So I expect next year it will increase again because there'll probably be less people on insurance, on the Medicaid insurance. Finally, we also provided you information on what we call our wage impact in Lancaster County, and that is the number of individuals who are employed by the Community Services Board who reside in Lancaster, which is over $1 million. And there's 34 staff members of ours who reside in Lancaster County. I also want to call your attention to two additional items that Mr. Gill just provided you. The first one, which is in the back cover, if you'll pull it out, that's our annual report. This is something new we chose to do. And the head of it says finances. It's like an insert. And this is a pie chart of our finances for fiscal year 2022, both revenue and expenditures. Please note that over 50% of our revenue was from billing.
That is significant. It is in there, isn't it? I'm just beginning to, I don't see Mr. Gill having pulled that out.
Oh, I was trying to answer text.
Okay, is there a pullout in there? Yes, thank you very much, good. That shows that over 50% of our revenue was from billing. And I would dare say that I would hold us up against any other community services board as far as how strong our billing is. And again, I would say this is an exceptional amount of money. The other one does show that our expenses, that over 75% is for our staff. So we invest in the people that make change in the community. Finally, I would ask that you open the 2022 annual report to page 44. This is an annual report that comes from the Virginia Association of Community Services Boards. They submit it every year. And each community services board has one page to commit to kind of bragging rights of what they've done that previous year. And what I want to point out to you and highlight is the success story. This is a person who, since I believe the age of 10, was addicted. His mother would give him alcohol so he wouldn't cry. And it just got worse and worse as he got older. He spent, as you can see, the first picture on the left, I believe, is his picture when he was arrested. And he was addicted probably to most everything. Finally, it was opioids, and we worked with him, providing not just the outpatient services, we provided a place for him to stay and supportive services through our recovery program. And now he is employed part-time with our agency in our operations. But that's just one success story of many that we have. I will open it up to any questions you might have for me.
All right, gents, questions?
I don't have any questions. I appreciate all that you do. So as we've heard people come forward, I have noticed that if it's above level funding from last year, we're tabling it to come back to it. We can do that unless you give us the okay to stay with level funding from last year. We can give you the nod now if you need that. It's entirely up to you.
I would be glad to wait until you take it under advisement. Thank you for that option.
Didn't you say this was
It's
mandated by
by state code. It is mandated by state code, and to get to that 10%, we do need this increase. I can just speak from a personal level. I'm a big fan of the CSBs. From serving on the community policy management teams, I know that the CSBs provide services for children who are under the Children's Services Act, which costs the county quite a bit of money every year. And the services that the CSB provides are much more economical and are very good. And so I'm a fan of the CSBs. I would also like to add, since Linda brought up about opioids, back in 2021, the board passed a resolution and joined the state opioid abatement management fund. And we've been collecting some money from those settlements. You're going to have a resolution at your meeting on Thursday night for additional settlements from additional pharmaceutical companies. And we've just kind of been banking that money right now because there are some strings to it. It has to be spent for certain things, opioid abatement mainly, but that's kind of a general area. And we're everybody's trying to figure out exactly how you're going to spend that money. And I know the CSBs would be able to help us spend that money correctly in the future. So you may see Linda come back at another board meeting and request some of those funds as well. So, but I just want to throw that out there to you. So while the trend pretty much has been, if it's above FY23, we've been kind of tabling it. I think this one is pretty much mandated by state code.
Mandated, yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Certainly.
Why did the numbers drop? Do you know? I mean, yeah, I know you know, but
Well, for Lancaster, it didn't. For the other ones, it did because we just didn't have staff, unfortunately. Because we had, as many businesses and organizations, we had a tremendous workforce challenge during COVID and after COVID. And we're slowly building back up. But especially with our outpatient services, we unfortunately weren't able to provide the level of service that we would like to do and would like to provide to our community. But in Lancaster, it was an anomaly that we provided, I would say probably percentage-wise about the same, but number-wise, it's a handful more this past year.
okay, all right, thanks. Well, all right, we're required to do this, all right.
Let's break the trend.
We are a trend breaker, I'm just saying.
You are trend breakers. Let's, yes.
All right, so, I'm interested.
Gotta do what we gotta do.
Yep, got it, all right.
So Dylan rule, stay where you're told what to do.
Yep, yep. All right, then, Don, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate your time and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr.
Mike McNamara.
McNamara.
And
Say that again?
Mike McNamara.
McNamara.
And that acronym stands for the Rappahannock Area Office on Youth.
That's,
So I didn't bring a posse with me. It's just me tonight.
is this your?
Unless you'd like to borrow
Is
it.
he, who's he replacing?
No, he's been in this position for quite a while. The Rappahannock Area Office on Youth is a subset of the, tell me what that acronym stands for, that VCJJ?
It's the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act.
Okay.
And I'll just fill you in. The Office on Youth, we were established in the Northern Neck in 2013 to provide services to court-involved youth. Our mission is to incorporate leadership opportunities, skill development to promote healthy, responsible behavior in youth and young adults, encourage positive development, and provide support to families. Our services are funded through the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act. The grant funding is pulled from all 5 Northern Neck localities. Well, actually, I guess to be correct, it's all 4, and then with the addition of Essex County, with Westmoreland County acting as a fiscal agent. To qualify for VJCCCA funding, Lancaster is required to contribute a maintenance of effort of $7,908 in order to receive $20,530 of state funding. Last year, the Office on Youth requested and received $9,685, which included the MOE and cost of living increases requested throughout the years. For the upcoming year, we propose a small increase of $484 to last year's request for a total request of $10,169. For this year, we have expanded our services throughout the region, and we are now able to serve both court-involved youth as well as youth who are at risk of becoming court-involved. Previously, we could only work with court service unit kids. This year, they've opened it up and now are allowing us to do prevention programming, which increases our opportunities greatly. This has resulted in the Office on Youth expanding services from 3 programs to 7 programs. Our current programs include electronic monitoring, which is the ankle bracelet to keep them at home 24/7 instead of sending them to detention. Community service supervision, where we go out in the community and supervise work sites and the kids in our program. A decision-making skills group, anger management education group, a substance abuse education group, a school-based mentoring program, and a restorative justice program. To date, the Office on Youth has received 110 referrals for the current year. This is a 67% increase over the entire year of FY22, with a projected increase of 109% by the end of FY23. In addition, it is estimated Lancaster County will save approximately $38,000 by utilizing cost-effective electronic monitoring incarceration services compared to the more costly secure detention. Our fiscal year 22 outcomes, 63 of 66
participants successfully completed their respective programs, that's 95%. Our recidivism rates were lower than the state average for court service unit for community service program by 5%, for electronic monitoring 33%, and we were just 3% higher for life skills for youth being served by similar programs. The Office on Youth appreciates Lancaster County's Board of Supervisors' previous support and looks forward to continuing to expand services and serve more clients in FY 2024. Now, if anybody would like to ask any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
When you were naming the counties in the Northern Act, you said something about Westmoreland, and I missed it.
Westmoreland's a fiscal agent.
Okay.
So everybody pulls their money, goes to Westmoreland,
Gotcha.
who's a fiscal agent.
Don, it looks like the overall budget for this department is down.
Yeah.
The overall budget?
Of
For
the
juvenile
juvenile probation and detention overall budget numbers,
Let me get
Page
to that.
31.
down by like $958.
That's probably because of the Merrimack Center. Yes, it is. The Juvenile Detention Center, on line item 33203, 5645.
Yeah.
The Merrimack Center uses a 5-year average of services provided to county residents, and they base their budget request off of the 5-year average. So that has gone down a little bit, particularly since FY '22 to FY '24.
More evidence for Tony doing a good job over there.
What's that?
More evidence for Tony doing a good job over there, decreasing the cost of juvenile justice.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's our electronic monitoring program.
I'm in favor of this.
I am too. So,
I am.
okay. Craig, Lee?
I am.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Okay. Nobody else?
All right, do you have 2 people on? Just, you've got Dr. Kennedy on.
All right, okay, we can let Dr. Kennedy go now, and the other one come later. 7:30, all right.
Yeah, so.
Dr. Kennedy?
Hello.
Hi, you up?
Oh, good. You can hear me.
Yes, we all can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time. I don't know if Tara Walker is on or Cassie Thompson.
No one else is on except for you. We are running a little ahead of schedule. And,
You are?
yeah.
I'm aware of that. I was hoping you would be.
And the presenter before you was not on, and it's not in the audience, so we bumped you up 1 spot.
I appreciate that. That's why I was here early, and thank you so much for your time. I hope you all are doing well. I do want to thank you. Cassie Thompson is your appointee to our local board, and she's an excellent board member who attends and participates and serves as the chair of our Public Relations and Marketing Committee. So I just wanted to thank you for picking someone who was willing to dedicate the time and the attention to RCC. So our request this year is for $7,761. It is $226 more. I know that's a 3% increase. We've, 1, been hit by inflation, and 2, we've gotten some major projects. Like, for example, on our Glens campus, our pond is in need of major repair. Right now, the design services are $74,000, and we cannot use state funds for that. So some of these things are for campus. We've also paved one of the parking lots at the Glens campus, as well as replaced the signage at the Kilmarnock campus. And I know you all are countywide, but I do think the town of Kilmarnock and their police department, as well as the Lancaster County Sheriff's Department, for your support at the Kilmarnock Center, because we don't have security regularly there, and that's always a concern. I just want to tell you a couple of new things we have going on. We are starting a diagnostic medical sonography program, and I know you're all going to glaze over and go, what the heck is that? So has anybody had an echocardiogram yet? I hope not, but if you have, all right, Bill Lee has, thank you, good to see you, Bill. That will be the certification that these graduates will have. So it's ultrasound for the heart, and it's a 2-year degree program, and they'll come out making $70,000 a year.
That's great.
And your RGH, Bon Secours RGH will need those folks. So we're really excited that's starting this fall. We have patient care technician, which we have filled up with 20 slots for 3 separate cohorts. We have a waiting list. And that is a grant program right now funded with Go Virginia dollars. So for these first 3 cohorts, it costs the students absolutely nothing. So and when they graduate, they are a certified medical assistant as well as a certified nurse aide. So a couple of really good things going on, specifically in Lancaster County. Again, of course, we have our Kilmarnock Center,
Let me
but we
interrupt,
are
Dr.
working
Kennedy.
with.
Let me
Yes.
interrupt you and ask you a question before I forget it.
Sure.
With those programs that you have, are the students taking advantage of it? Yeah.
We are. I mean, the patient care technician, we're actually in this program. It's us and Germana. We applied to the grant together. And they were struggling to find students, and we filled up 3 cohorts. We've got 2 already filled, and they haven't started yet.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
So our enrollment, quite frankly, it's not where it was when I started. Y'all have been here since July 1, 2019. If you can believe that, the pandemic sort of makes everything blur. But we have held steady. We're up in our credit enrollment about 6% over last spring. And I think there's only 2 other colleges in the Virginia Community College system that are up any more than we are. So we have at least managed to hold on. Still need to grow. We still have so many of our citizens that do not have any higher education. And we really put an emphasis on short-term credentials. That's what we used to call workforce, but I like to argue that everything we do is workforce because it's all about getting a job in the end. But we've really put an emphasis on that because we have needs in our area. So we're working at Glenn's, for example, to expand and add diesel there and HVAC, which we have had at New Kent as a part-time evening program. And we can't get our graduates hardly to finish before they get hired. As the sonography I was talking about with the echocardiogram capability, they get out making $70,000 a year with a 2-year degree. So we're looking at what programs that we need to meet the needs in our community and that can bring those salaries up to raise our overall salary, which, as you know, as boards of supervisors is all good because that's going to bring up quality of life where they can buy houses and give you property tax. And
Dr. Kennedy, let me ask you another question.
Yes.
How are the high schools working with you? When you're talking about these programs, they can 2-year associate degree and making $70,000. Or how are the high schools working with you on that? Are these students, are they everybody being made aware of this?
Yes. Okay. And we have, and we've had at Lancaster High School for a very long time, a high school navigator who works with those students to make sure they're aware of all the options. Okay. And that is working with them, maybe in dual enrollment, but even if not in dual enrollment. So we're working on that. We had last year we had 170 Lancaster County citizens that were enrolled with us. And we're still trying to figure out ways to get those folks, especially those older folks, because the high schools, we've got that down pretty well. And I love to tell this story. One of your graduates from Lancaster High School many years ago, Karen Hutchins, who's been at Lancaster for a long time, is funded with Verlander Foundation funds, we call him a high school navigator, which means they're helping him navigate through high school to get to college. And he is now a high school navigator because he said he wouldn't have gone to college if it hadn't been for her. Okay. So we love that. We're working very closely with Verlander Foundation and Jack Neal, not only to give, I think you all know Verlander gives the high school graduates all scholarships to attend college, but they have some more funding and we're going to work to give every Lancaster County citizen that attends RCC a scholarship.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about that. That's going to be new this year. So again, our request is for 7761. I'm happy to answer any more questions you have.
I guess I answered all my, asked all about it.
Yeah, I love the questions though. It's more fun than you just listening to me talk.
Okay. All right, any, don't have any questions. Okay.
No, I also heard that, I know we're asking for an increase and but it's like $226.
$226.
So I'm gonna leave that with y'all to decide.
All right, so.
But an increase is an increase.
It is. I understand that.
I'm good with it.
Me too.
I'm in favor.
I am.
Okay.
I am too.
All right, good. All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank y'all so much for your time. You have a great night.
We can send our county administrator over to help you stripe the parking lot over there in Glenn's if needed.
All right, Don, let's go. It's already striped. If I had gotten to you like 2 weeks ago, maybe we could have worked that out.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you all so much for your time, and I really appreciate the support.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we have one more.
Got one more, is Sandra Guttridge on. Sandra is, she took Tommy Tomlin's place. Tommy Tomlin retired last year.
That's who I thought that guy
Yeah, no,
replaced, yeah.
Tommy Tomlin retired as the juvenile justice, I guess probation officer. And Sandra Guttridge took his place. And so
So is this also under the budget of?
it is, it's on page 31. That is,
So it's basically, but it's a decrease, so it's no.
yeah, it's basically all the other line items except for the juvenile detention center, the Rappahannock area office on youth. So,
It's overall a decrease in that budget, though.
yeah, so,
So, I mean, we can just.
yeah, I mean,
Consensus on
sure,
that and move
she
on.
was, she was scheduled for 7:20, so I at least want to wait until 7:20 before we let go. Let me add one more thing to you tonight, because I told this fellow that I would do it. David Nichols, who serves on our BZA, but also started a disc golf course at Hills Quarter, the old King Carter Golf Course. And I know Jason may be more familiar with this, maybe you too, Bill, I don't know. And they call it Dead Rise Disc Golf. And they got this request in late. It came in on March the 11th. The due date was
That's my fault.
was February the 7th or 9th. I can't remember now. But anyway, what they're asking for is a contribution to help with cutting grass, spraying, poison ivy, et cetera. Basically maintenance of the grounds for the Dead Rise Disc Golf. And he's got $15,000 on here, but, you know, I told him that he'd missed the deadline, but I would at least bring it up before you all at your next budget session to see if there was any appetite for considering this at any level.
What is it? Is
I
it
would
also-
add this to our consideration, because to me, it's more of like a discussion about the overall maintenance that's gonna have to occur on the Triway Trail, because this is one of the nodes of the Triway Trail is what it is.
It would be a node off of the Triway Trail, correct?
So is it a team type
No, and,
participation?
No,
or
disc
is-
golf is essentially golf with discs.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
open to anyone.
yeah,
Disc,
but,
you're throwing frisbee discs
yeah,
into a.
but anyone can play. It's
Yeah.
it's not a club or anything.
No,
that-
it's open to the public, you just
Yeah.
go in there and play for free.
Yeah,
It's popular amongst the
Yeah.
younger folks.
Yeah.
But there is gonna be a maintenance cost to the Triway Trail and maintaining the grass and stuff along those and whatever nodes get built. And since we're the manager of that facility, essentially, once it does be fully developed out, we will be responsible for those items as part of the operational cost of
I
these
would,
facilities.
that's a fair statement. So, I mean, we can add this to the discussion if that's the wish of the board, but, as I said, he missed the deadline but I did tell him I would bring it up. So,
That's your district.
Well, it's in Bill's, it's actually, I believe, in your district,
It is my
or
district, yeah.
is Hills Quarter in your district?
no, it's in Bill Lee's
Bill
district.
Lee's.
It's in my district, but it needs further discussion. At first I heard of it, Coach Don just said he got it late, but I don't think we need to do anything here tonight with it.
No,
Well, I guess what I was looking for is, do you want to consider it at all, or just say, you missed the deadline, try again next year?
Well, I'm not sure, even if he made the deadline, would we still consider it?
Well, I mean, that's,
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, we could, Yeah, we could consider it, it's nothing stopping us from considering it, but I think I need to digest this a little bit more.
Okay.
You want
I know what they're asking, but,
So you want it
I got some concerns about this, the
Maybe
overall
I mean,
maintenance
I'm
of
not
that.
without concern,
Maybe
but-
when our Parks and Rec is put together, that we could help out in some other way.
That's possible. And I mean, we don't really know what the maintenance costs of the Tri-Way Trail will be at this point. I mean, it's just a guess. So, well, we can,
All right, we put that on.
It's a point I think
consideration.
it's gonna have to have a period of discussion in
Yeah.
regards, because those are going to be costs down the line.
yeah.
Okay.
Not only here, but the other facilities as well that we're gonna be opening up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3 or 4 facilities. We do not have the staff currently to maintain those properties.
Correct.
And so they're going to have to hire more staff in-house or subcontract those out to somebody to do the work.
All future discussions, yes.
All
What's
expenses
been-
of growth.
Hey, Don,
Yes, sir.
what's been our precedent in the past on taking those requests if they've been late? Have we had any precedent in the past, or
Well-
are we setting some new precedent here doing it?
I think you would be setting a new precedent because my original email said that requests received after the deadline would not be considered.
See, that's one of the things
Okay.
that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because then what happens next year?
Well, it's a
Yeah.
moot point. I didn't know that your email said that.
Yeah, it did
So
say
I don't
that,
think
but,
we don't discuss it then.
yeah.
I'm a favor of just telling him he missed the deadline and come back next year. And that's something.
I mean, if we haven't done that in the past, I hate opening up that can of worms, but that's just my thought on it.
And I certainly understand that, and Jason, you and myself probably need to have, outside discussion on this for us going forward with the 2035 committee too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would come up under maintenance with the Tri-Way Trail again, maybe prior to next budget cycle, so.
So then, do we all agree then that we'll just say he missed the deadline, come back next year?
It's above level funding, so.
That's what I think.
I think, Mr. Palin, we just leave it as Mr. Deadline. We
Yeah,
don't tag on, come back
Don't say,
next year.
okay, I agree with that one. You're right,
Yep.
missed the deadline, okay.
But we'll definitely be aware of it when we talk about maintenance of the Tri-Way Trail.
Yes, yes,
Right.
Yeah.
all right. That was good.
Glenn, do we have Ms. Guttridge online?
Do we want to go back and discuss some of the others then? I think we have 3.
Well, we can, if you like.
All right,
So what's the penalty for someone not showing up?
we make a decision and move on.
I don't know that you can really cut those.
All right, where do we go at? Okay, Alice Cooper, Community Library. Now, they're requesting an additional $20,000. That's page 40. They're requesting an additional $20,000. And I was listening to what she was saying. That's the amount that the state, they got cut in state aid. So they're coming to us locally to make up the difference. And when I was reading her thing that she had given us earlier, she was blaming us for losing this amount because of the formula, and we didn't give any money last year or something like that. She said, and I said, this lady's lying. Well, this lady's not. Somebody up there?
Yeah, is that, Ms. Guttridge, is that you?
Don't understand you.
Ms. Guttridge, are you there?
You don't have them? Who was that then?
Maybe the lady from the library.
Yeah, might be.
It might be, yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So, gentlemen, I'm not in favor of $20,000.
What was the increase last year?
You all went from 112,995 in '22. You added 10,000 to it. So in '23, it was 122,995. And they're asking for 20,000 additional funds in FY '24, so 142,995.
Yeah. I can go with 10, but not 20, if 10 at all. So,
Bill, what do you feel about this?
Well, I guess I'm very familiar with what's going on over there with the mobile library and everything like that, and it's enhancement, but, I had, I think I sent out the email, I think I put this in there, I can't remember, but I had said 10,000, because, I had a conversation with her. I talked with her in length, because I really wanted to level fund it, that's what I wanted to do, but I know there's, a lot of extra expense there, and they did go to their reserves, and they did go to the endowment and get money out, and that was a few years ago. We was having a hard time getting them to do that.
yeah,
But they did do it this budget cycle. And I know, all of us know what endowment funds have done over the past year. But that's why I said, we could, if we wanted to, we could do 10. I wasn't in favor of doing the 20. I really wasn't. And I guess I'm softening up with saying, hey, let's do 10.
all right, so, I like I said, I could level fund it, but I can go with 10. All right, so, gentlemen.
Bill, that altitude's getting to you.
Yeah, I guess it is, it's
Not
10 up
thinking
here.
straight. I would be in favor of 10.
Be in favor of 10? All right,
I can
good, 10.
accept that.
All right, Mr. Geezy,
You're muted, Craig.
read his lips, read his lips.
Y'all keep me straight on that, I'm sorry. I would be okay doing the 10. I agree. I think when I first heard it, I thought the 20 was one of our higher increases we had that we heard. And I would have an issue with doing 20 right now. I could live with the 10. They do a good job.
Yes.
They do a very good job.
Yes.
So I don't want to discount what they do, and they provide a lot to our county, and I realize that. But I could do the 10, but I think the 20 would be too much, in my opinion.
Okay, so I think then we have a consensus on 10.
Yeah,
All right,
I would recommend renting out their space, their meeting space. It sounds like
Well, they said they do rent it out for,
not for everyone.
not for everyone, right?
It's being used, the space is being used, yeah.
I mean, mostly what they don't run into are groups within the community, so
Okay.
I wouldn't be a supporter of that. I mean, things that are supported by taxpayers should not also, in my opinion, also have to be a user fee when you use them.
Right.
I mean, that's the point of supporting something with tax dollars, is that
Yeah.
the public gets used to it because you're already paying for it.
Right. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
Agree with
All
that.
right, so we got that one. Do we have two more?
Yeah, Boys and Girls Club was
Boys and
another
Girls
one.
Club, okay. All right, Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, and one of the things about the Boys and Girls Club, they were at 55 up until, what do you think, Don, 3 years ago?
I think it was FY '19, they got trimmed back to 35.
35, so they was at 55, and,
I'm in favor of equality here, and I think we should just make the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA the same at $50,000.
Well, they only requested 45, so,
Give them 45 this year, 5 more next year?
I mean, I think those two groups essentially are kind of
Yeah.
intertwining, doing this similar programs or similar types of youth services or recreational services, so it just seems to me that they should be fairly equitable. I'm in support of their current
Yeah.
submission, and I think we should work toward making them and the YMCA equal.
So let's give them 45 this year and with an anticipation of 5 next year to equal them out.
I'm in favor of that.
You're in favor of that? All right. Mr. Lee?
yeah, I'm in favor there.
All right.
That certainly seems logical. I didn't realize the difference thinking
Yeah,
about it, so,
yeah.
yep.
I always fought for them to be equal, but I was,
Yep.
now I got support.
You've said that in the past?
Yes.
well, the Y, at that same time that the Boys and Girls Club was at 55, the Y was at 75.
That's true.
But that was with Lively Pool being open. Now that
Yeah.
Lively Pool is closed, it's probably more equitable for them to be at 50, both groups.
Both groups.
Yeah, but, I mean, what you all have said is, you're okay, I think the consensus is okay with their 45,000 requests and probably looking at equalizing them in next budget cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
Future.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
that would probably be better to do it that way. That takes care of it all, doesn't it?
What's that?
That takes care of everything we had referred over, right?
I believe it does. I don't have any, I put question marks by the ones that you did not give me a consensus on, and that's
And I started on.
the only two question marks I had.
So Sandra Guttridge, she's on, because she's supposed to be up at 7:20, she's not there. All right, that's page 31. So let's go ahead and do some work here, fellas.
We already gave the kind of approval on that in a way, because we approved the other guys.
Yeah.
This was the first year I've ever seen that budget parsed out
I know.
into separate
Yeah.
presentations. I don't ever remember getting a presentation on that in the past.
No,
But and that was puzzling me too, Jason. I don't remember either,
Of course, I missed some of the presentations last year, so if it happened last year, I might just not have been
It didn't
aware of it.
happen, not to my knowledge, yeah.
Mr. Tomlin would send in the request.
Right.
But it's been many years since he, came to a budget work session. But I think more than anything, this was maybe a meet and greet type of thing for the new juvenile director. But somehow or another, we must have gotten our wires crossed, so.
Okay.
Let me,
Now, are we together on this one? We say it's consensus?
Yeah,
Go ahead and do it.
It's
All right, okay,
actually decreasing in funding, so.
okay.
let me ask
Yeah.
y'all your preference on page 27, the contribution to MedFlight, because we don't have a presentation scheduled for them. Well, I'll tell you, let's hold off on that, because I think Matt on Thursday Matt Smith is going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't have anything else. Anybody else online, Glenn? You do have Matt Smith? Okay, well, good. He just heard that. We're going to hold off on that.
All right. Okay, then, we're ready to adjourn the meeting to, when's the next?
I move we adjourn to Thursday, the
Thursday, the 30th
at 7.
No, at 5.
At 5.
Yeah.
Okay, heard the motion, all in favor said aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.